In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Assalamu alaikum, students. Welcome to the Superior Digital Platform. Today we are going to start unit number 3, and that is The Wind. That is a poem, The Wind. So, what the wind is? Wind is actually the movement of air from an area of high pressure to a low pressure area. So there are pre-reading questions in your book. If you look at your book page number 26, there are questions: do you enjoy wind? Or how many types of wind do we feel? Name them. So these both questions are interlinked with each other. As you see that which types of wind do you know? So how many types are there? So there are different types of wind. We can categorize it in four types: permanent winds, or you can say planetary winds, or seasonal winds, and there could be local winds, and the fourth one, there could be a temporary winds, or you can say it variable winds. So, which type of wind could be enjoyed? That wind could be a permanent wind or planetary wind, because that is a cool breeze air that moves smoothly. So, the winds that are too strong, uh, obviously, that could not be enjoyed, because that could be disastrous. And in that wind, we just keep praying that it must be safe, and everyone must be safe and sound, so no disaster might happen in this situation. So the wind that is a cool breeze blowing wind that could be enjoyed. So the types of winds I have told you, so you can discuss its details. These details are different. So which type of wind could be in which type? So as you see that seasonal winds are there. So how seasonal winds are caused, and which type of winds are named seasonal winds, and which type of local winds are, so how they are caused and in which areas they are caused, and uh, which type of winds could be categorized in this category. So there are temporary winds or variable winds, and which types of winds could fall in this category. So you can discuss it with your subject teacher in your class. So if we look at the poet Robert Louis Stevenson has written it, and we must have some knowledge about the poet, so it would be easy for us to understand the poem. That is not necessary according to the I think examination point of view, but it's necessary to know about the poet. Poet's lifespan is from 1850 to 1894. So if you look at its time, that he was born in 1850 and he died in 1894. He was a Scottish essayist, poet, and novelist. So he belonged to Scotland, and he also wrote essays. He was a poet because he wrote poetic works, and he was a novelist because he has written novels as well. So, if we look at the themes or the topics he discusses, or how he discusses the things in his writings, he has discussed adventures. So, he has created suspense in his writings, and even he has gone through psychological depths of the characters. So, we can see these things in his writings. And if we look at his famous works, that is Treasure Island, his famous novel, and his collection of poems is A Child's Garden of Verses. A Child's Garden of Verses, that was a poem that was a nostalgic poem of childhood. So, so how a person feels about his childhood memories, that is, so he feels each and every person has his past memories of his childhood, and when one recalls those memories, one feels sad, whether those memories were happy or they were sad. But those memories could make us sad when we think about our past memories. So these nostalgic feelings have been discussed in his poem, and that is the topic of uh, his his collection of poems, that is A Child's Garden of Verses. So let's start the poem, and that is stanza 1. If we look at its stanza, I have told you earlier in the previous lecture that what we will do, how we will analyze the poem, that there are two ways of analyzing a poem. One is its a thematic analysis, and the other is its a stylistic analysis. So uh, first we will read it and look at its theme, that how the poet, sorry, what the poet has described through these words or through these lines. I saw you toss the kites on high and blow the birds about the sky, and all around I heard you pass like ladies' skirts across the grass. O wind, a blowing all day long, O wind, that sing so loud a song. So that is the first stanza. I have colored some words for you because it will be easy for you to understand the poetic devices. I saw you toss the kites on sky. So the poet says that he has seen the wind. So the poet is speaker. So first we must know that who is speaking and to whom he is addressing. Here the poet himself is speaker and he addresses to the wind. So he says, I saw you. He says that he has seen the wind toss the kites on sky. So how he has seen is through its action. He has seen the wind through its action when it flies the kites high in the sky and blow the birds about the sky. And when birds are blown, when the birds fly in the sky, we can feel the presence of wind. The poet feels the presence of wind. He says that he has seen the wind in the movement of kites and in the movement of birds, and all around I heard you pass. So he has not just seen the wind in different actions, but he has also heard its voice. How he has heard it? He says that like lady skirts across the grass. So if the poet says that the wind is powerful in moving the kites and in moving the birds, so it is also, you may say, soft and sweeping. It has also the soft and sweeping motion. So because when it passes through the grass, it is like lady skirts, sound of lady skirts when it moves through, moves in the wind. So that is a soft sound that has been described by the poet. O wind, are blowing all day long. So now he is praising the wind. He says that it's constantly blowing all the day. He directly addressed the wind. He says, O wind, are blowing all day long. O wind, you keep blowing all the day. Oh, you constantly blow all the day. O wind, that sings so loud a song. And he addresses the wind and says that your song is so loud. You keep singing all the day. You keep singing. You keep blowing all the day. And he feels admiration. He feels, you may say, awe and admiration for the uh, wind's movement and its song. So that was all about the explanation of the or the meaning of the stanza, that the wind is moving all the things, that it is powerful, and it could be heard because it has some swishing sound, and it is working constantly, it is moving constantly all the day, and it's singing all the day. So that was about the wind, and how the poet has described that quality, that powerful quality, or that you may say soft quality of the wind, or the you may say un that is you may say unrestricted quality, unrestricted in movement. That is its quality that has been described by the poet. So he has described here different poetic devices or literary devices. The poet says, I saw you toss the kites on the sky, on high. The word toss, blow, and sings. So there have been highlighted by red color, and you see there is personification. I have written it with a red color. That is personification, because these are the acts that are performed by human beings: toss, blow, and sing. These are the activities that are done by human beings. When human beings quality is given to some non-human being, that is called personification. So the poet has used here personification. And in the next, you see kites on high. Kites on high. there are two poetic devices you can find here. One is enjambment, because you see that there is no punctuation sign after the first line. When the first line ends, there is no punctuation sign. So you see that there is the poet uses enjambment here, because toss the kites on high and blow the birds about the sky. That has been one idea continues towards the next line without any punctuation sign. So that is enjambment. And green color, wherever you see green color, there is imagery. So you see imagery is there: kites on high, the birds about the sky, lady skirts across the grass. So when you read the line, you can feel an image. There is an image that is created in your mind. So you can see the kites on the sky, kites flying in the sky. So you see that there is, I have given you images that when you read the line, you can see an image, that you can see kites, you can see birds moving in the in high or in the sky. And next you see ladies skirts across the grass, ladies skirts across the grass. Also that there is an image that has been created in your mind by the poet. So that is also imagery, and that is visual imagery. There is visual imagery. And there is another poetic device here, or literary device, that is ladies skirts. Ladies, sorry, like ladies skirts, that is like ladies skirts. How? Because there is use of simile. As I have told you in previous lecture, that like and as, wherever like and as will be used, you can say that there is use of simile. And the poet has compared lady skirts when they are moving across the grass. That could be compared with the wind's movement. So next you can see O wind, O wind and O wind. You can see in two lines, and these are the first word repeated in two lines. And I have told you in previous lecture the definition of anaphora. Anaphora, beta, that is repetition of first word in different lines. And you see and is repeated, and O wind is also repeated. So there is use of anaphora as well. So next you see that there is alliteration. Alliteration, I have written here. You see, I have written here with two colors, because here some words are in, you may say, red color, because it was already you may say fall in different poetic device. So I have underlined it as well, that below and birds. You can see B sound here and B sound here. That is initial consonant sound is repeated in quick succession. That is called alliteration. So blow and birds, that is alliteration. And here you see sings, so, song, that is also alliteration. So that is alliteration, and blow and birds, that is alliteration. So if you look at rhyming scheme was the last sound, high, sky. So you can see that these two words rhyme with each other, so we can call it a high, sky. These are rhyming with each other, so a pass. Next, this sound does not rhyme with first two letters, first two words. These are in first two lines, so it would be given B. So that will be given name of B. Pass and grass, these both rhyme with each other, so it will be again B. Long song, that is a different sound, even that does not rhyme with high sky or pass grass, so that will be given a new letter, that will be given a new name, so that is C. That is a rhyming scheme of the poem, sorry, stanza A B B C. So if we look at the themes of the stanza one's themes, these are actually the themes of the whole poem: nature's power and mystery, So nature is powerful and it's mysterious because you have seen in the first stanza that we can just feel the activities of wind and we cannot see it actually how winds looks, no one can see it, we can just feel it. So that is, but it can move other things, it can make other things fly and it can make other things blow. So that is powerful, that is strong, that is energetic, but it's mysterious. Its nature is mysterious because we cannot see it. And the next theme is the invisible forces of the world. So there are different invisible forces of the world that could move the things, that could move others, uh, go on, but they themselves are invisible, they could not be seen. So here the first element, natural element, has been described, that is the wind. We can feel other things that are abstract, that could not be seen but that could be felt, that is love, that is hate, that is, these are compassion, these are different feelings that could be just felt but they are unseen. And but they are forceful and they are powerful, they can change someone's life. So same is the case with wind, that it can change our life, it has effect on others, other things, even human, non human beings and non-human things, non-human beings, but it could not be seen. And these are powerful forces of the nature, and they are unseen, and but they enjoy power over others. The third theme is childlike wonder and imagination. Childlike wonder and imagination. The poet is feeling, so he is wondering over the actions of the, over the movements of the wind, or over the presence of the wind. He feels wonder. He says he praises the wind. He feels, you may say, there are different imaginations and admiration in his mind that how it would look like. He thinks different, you may say, he assumes different pictures of the wind, whether it would be young or old. In next stanzas you will see it. So he keeps thinking about the wind like a child. Stanza 2 is there, I saw the different things you did. So what the poet says, that he has seen the wind as an active force. He says that it is always active, but always you yourself you hid. So he says that it remains invisible, it is not seen anywhere, it has no tangible or physical form. So I felt you push, I heard you call. So the poet says that he can feel the pushing force of the wind because it touches human body, and human being can feel it, that it is present everywhere. And he says that I heard you call. I heard you call mean he can hear the voice of the wind. He can hear that movement of the wind. I could not see you yourself at all. But the poet is still, you may say, curious about the wind, and he is, you may say, worried, or you may say he's wondering about the wind's presence. He says that you remain invisible despite despite the effects you create, you remain invisible, I cannot see you. O wind, a blowing all day long, O wind that sings so loud a song. So again he addresses the wind, and he is repeating the same lines that he has described in first stanza. These lines have been repeated in second stanza, and that repetition of lines is called refrain. That is also a poetic device, that when lines are repeated in different stanzas, that is called refrain. So we can say that the poet is feeling that the wind is active, it has force to push something, or it can make noise, but it remains invisible, it could not be seen. So the poet remains curious, and poet admires the powerful force of the wind. And the next stanza, that is stanza 3. O you that are so strong and cold, O blower, are you young or old? Are you a beast of field and tree, or just a stronger child than me? O wind, a blowing all day long, O wind that sings so loud a song. So here, what the poet says, he calls the wind strong and cold. He says that the wind is powerful and it has chillful nature. So it's cold, it's strong, it's energetic. Oh blower, are you young or old? So what he felt, he has called it that it's energetic because it has seen its activities, that it is moving other things, it is pushing other things. He has observed that. So he says that it is powerful, it is chill, it has chilling nature. But oh blower, are you young or old? He is still curious because it seems mysterious to the poet. He says that whether the wind is young or old. Are you a beast of field and tree, or just a stronger child than me? Next, he is wondering whether it's a wild animal of the fields, of the trees, it's wild animal of the forest, or just a stronger child than me, or it's harmless. You may say its strength is harmless than a child. Sorry, like a child. So he says that stronger child than me. So it could be a more, you may say, energetic, it could be powerful than the poet, because he says that it's like a child, it's harmless, or it's a wild, you may say, wild animal of the forest. It could be dangerous or it could be harmless, it could be innocent. So he is still curious that it's like, just like a, you may say, a child, it's playful and powerful, or it's dangerous. Next he says, oh wind a blowing all day long, oh wind that sings so loud a song. So he says that, oh a blowing is, that is a sound, sorry, that is an old way of calling blowing. That was an old method of writing blowing, and that is written a blowing. O wind a blowing all day long, O wind that sings so loud a song. So that is the same refrain has been used here, that the wind is moving constantly, singing its own wild song, and poet remains, you may say, curious about its nature, about its presence, about its existence, or about its looks and its age. It seems ageless to the poet, and he thinks about the, he keeps thinking about the nature and its, you may say, presence, its existence of the, in the world. So you will find out the poetic devices, and you will find out the rhyming scheme of these two stanzas, and that is your home task. You will write it, because there are questions in this stanza, comprehension questions, that what is rhyming scheme of the poem, and what is the theme of the stanza, sorry, what is the rhyming scheme of the stanza, and what is the theme of the stanza, and which poetic devices have been used in this stanza, or some of the poetic devices is chosen, and then that is asked that that what is anaphora, you may say, find out in the stanza and write it. So these type of questions could appear, could could be asked in your exams. That was all about today's lecture. Thank you, stay blessed, Allah Hafiz.